Hey guys, welcome back to the WCC and LHQ channel. I'm Darcy and I'm joined today with Ken.
Hello.
And so today we're going to start our new series called WS Top Decks. So we're going to look at all the topping decks from Springfest and other official events when they occur. And we're just going to talk about, dissect, and kind of show them off to you, the viewer, so that we can all kind of see what the trends are and what's kind of popular at the moment. Okay, so here we are on Wise Tea Time. Thank you so much, Taya, for putting all the information in one spot for everyone to access. It's really, really helpful, and we can't thank you enough for it.
Right, so let's get into the deck. So we'll start with California's April 3rd of April event. So here we are. Starting with the first place 8 Standby Slime deck. What would you say is special about it?
I'd say it's a pretty standard looking list, to be honest. I think the main thing is the two different types of counters that he's decided to use. So one is the 3k memory kick counter. So that's pretty good versus Bang Dream's new finisher, 8 choice slime, kind of anything with hand on call. So I'd say that's like pretty good tech for this meta. And then the minus soul counter is like a pretty nice defensive option to have. This deck kind of doesn't have much defensive presence other than being big. You know, that doesn't necessarily stop damage all the time. So it's kind of good to have that. And then maybe the other thing is using 2 of each type of Ricky. So one's kind of good for attacking, and then the other one's kind of good for the other turn. This one here, the Rimuru, also provides like a little bit of deck turnover, which is nice.
Yeah, I think that's mostly what stands out about this deck compared to other 8 standby decks. It looks like the additional slots that you need for the slightly large number of Riki counter, maybe the second copy of the early play heals being taken from the level 0 Solar here, which I think is 3 or 4 of in most of the decks. But yeah, having the extra option is pretty good in this deck. Yeah, pretty cool to see this top again after doing pretty well in Rumble. Right, and also in first place we have a Bang Dream deck, which I think is the Choice level 1 Morphonica combo plus the level 3 Lisa. I guess we should talk about Lisa first.
Yeah, so Lisa I think is like actually a really smart pick for like English at the moment. So it's good to look at Japanese lists, but there are times where it doesn't always match up to English, and this is a great example because we have all these cards that are on a ban list over there, like roaming free. So I think something that can do lots of burns is like really good at taking advantage of having the stock swap event and the RSL level 3, which can like decompress your opponent a lot and then deal lots of high amounts of damage, like burn 3s. It's very, very easy to loop them as well. And one of your level 0s, they shuffles the Lisas back into deck, so you never really have an issue of doing at least 2 Lisas. So I'd say that's like really, really good pick.
Yeah, try to really think about that, but because you have both stock swap and decompressor, it's definitely more beneficial to run something that does more instances of damage, unlike Mashiro, which just kind of guarantees your bottom line. Because this way you have much more reach in bad games. You can always have a shot at turning the game back over by using the stock swap and decompressor, and then try to push with multiple liters, which is a pretty low cost investment because you can just bring out more copies from your deck with 1 copy. That's pretty cool. I think I've also seen this 2-1. You can rest it to send one of your other characters to stock, so you have a pretty good way of turning your random cards into resources with this. It's pretty cool. We might see more of this coming into other Springfest events.
I'd say Bang Dream's pretty well positioned at the moment. I would expect to see more in the future. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I just wanted to bring up, there is only 3 copies of Choo Choo in this deck, which I think the vast majority of decks playing Choo Choo play 4 copies, so I guess the extra copy slot went into probably playing 4 copies of the stock swap, which is the only red card in this deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's worth noting that there's not great amount of red cards that you can put into this, like Choice Gate in particular,
Yeah.
to kind of enable stock swaps. So kind of like a borrowed idea from Fate. Like we used to see in 8-bar Fate, we only see 4 of one like refresher.
Mhm.
And so probably a similar idea. I mean, like you're very likely to draw it at 4, right? And so then one has to be in level or clock at some point. Then you can enable it. It's an interesting idea. We'll see what happens because there are level 3 stock swaps that this deck now has access to. So interesting to see if this idea is like more adopted.
True. I think actually there was a list that a similar list playing the same 2 combos that topped in Hokkaido last year in Japan.
Yeah,
It wasn't first place, second or third, which played a similar combination of cards, obviously with the Japanese ban list implemented. But yeah, I think that's 2 pretty good decks that you can take inspiration from if you want to go into this build. So yeah, cool deck. Let's see what their third player was on. Alright, and this is Standby Kaguya, and it's playing the drop search out of the restricted cards, which means that there's no clean cut runner and there's no Ricky.
Yeah, I think this is like the norm for this is what like all Kaguya decks are gonna more or less look like.
Yeah,
I think
think
Postman.
it's playing 3 of the level 3 Miyuki, which I think the vast majority of decks are only playing 2 copies of, as well as 3 copies of the level 2 Slayer, which is also usually a 2 of. I guess there's a bit of free space at level 0 because you're not playing 4/4 of the most overpowered level 0 beaters that you have. But yeah, it hasn't really changed too much from last season, has it?
Yeah, I think the only like notable maybe missing cards is like I know the green level 3 back row was really popular. Yeah, people either ran that or the global 15 in front row, the blue card, which also doubled as an.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of lists like not include either and still have success, so maybe they're not as needed. We only really have like 2 standby decks at the moment, and I guess like with the level 2 Slayer and the Miyuki early play, kind of take a more offensive approach rather than defensive approach, I'd say.
Alright, so that was first place in California. Congrats to those guys. Alright, here's a favorite on WCC and LA2. Love Live Sunshine. It looks pretty different to the build. Well, not super different, obviously, because there's not that much freedom in this deck, but it's not how we would have played it, is it?
No, it's not how we build the deck, but all the core elements are still there.
Yeah.
So it's still Stock Soul combo into this super broken OP, like double early play.
Yeah.
I think the coolest bit is the Hanamaru early play. Cool as climax heal. It's 9/5. It has a cool combo with shot that you can use when it was set 1. But I think this is kind of more taking like an approach where if you just refresh, you can early play, double early play, and then if you can still early play the next turn, maybe you can play the Hanamaru and kind of extend the game a bit more via healing rather than dealing more damage. I think the level 0 lineup is not the way that we had it, but I think important cards is mainly just the Kanan, and that's running at 4.
Yeah, 4 Kanan is very agreeable. You can do the triple Kanan scry 5 times combo with 4 at max consistency.
You can. I don't know if I've ever done it in the game, but you can.
I've gotten to a point where I can do it, and I stop halfway because I'm kind of content with the third card or something.
Right? Yeah.
You rarely actually go to 5, even if you have the setup, just because you're more likely to see something that you want to settle with on the top, like by the time you hit the 4th of cards or so. But yeah.
Last thing worth mentioning is he's running the Yoshiko bouncer at level 3. So, I mean, there's tap counter now in Mushoku. So if you can win one of the lanes and then bounce another, I mean, you don't have to. You can easily play around tap counter and get all of your attacks off.
Yeah,
I'd say that's definitely the main reason for including it.
It's probably something that you would want to include this meta if you're playing Sunshine.
Mm.
Alright. Yeah, here's Sunshine. We're pretty excited to see that deck top every time. So we then have Bofuri, which is Stocksoul Pants. Pants Stocksoul. Looks like it's just playing 4-4, so no stock swap combo finisher. I think this is similar to the deck that won in Mashiro Rumble Online's Europe region tournament.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with this build. Do you know much?
I know. Well, I know all about this deck.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the level 1 combo is pretty generic. It's just like a typical like mill 2 and then you salvage like equal to those levels combined. It does hit 8k, which used to be a pretty cool number because Adelive hits 7.5, but Mushoku hits 8.5, so that's kind of
you'll need a
little bit annoying.
Push.
But the other card, the level 2 combo Frederico, is like pretty crazy. It's just like it spins 3 cards away, and then if you can't play like out all of them, then they kind of can just do it most turns because of the climax lineup. The gate climax allows you to add stock souls back, so you can kind of just always like continuously spin away that board every single turn. So it's very good versus like, I'd say very good versus like any kind of board-based deck, not just exclusively standby. I mean, like decks like Bangdring, they want to put like their board out there, and then they can just kind of remove it all, and that was like their heavy investment.
Yeah. Well, even aside from board decks, the existence of this card means that you have to be careful with what you put in your back row. Like you can't just keep one brainstorm in the back and know it's gonna stay for the rest of the game. So if your deck sort of hinges on having certain cards at the back, you'll have to have a backup plan, or sometimes you just don't commit them until you really need them. So yeah, it's a rather different, it forces you to play a different sort of game, and it's quite amusing to play against if you sort of know what you're doing. It's not my kind of deck, but it's cool to see that, you know, it wasn't a one-trick pony thing, that it just happened to win that one time because of Data Live. It's still doing okay.
It's a really solid anti-meta pick, and kind of trios, it's like a really good format for like supporting those kind of decks, because you still have 2 other teammates who have to play it out as well.
Yeah, especially now, because the 2 probably best decks that were around in Rumble got restricted. It's a much more level playing field, and having a deck like this where the average card power of each card isn't particularly high is a lot more doable, because you know, you don't have all these unrestricted overpowered decks running around everywhere anymore. So yeah, even without Data Live to pick off, it's still pretty good, I would say. Alright, and then the last one on the second place team was Standby Mushoku. This is, well, I mean, it's obviously not 8 Standby, which is the more popular pick, I think, overall. But I think Standby is also pretty good. The early play reject set is quite threatening, because it decreases the power of everything that your opponent has on the board by 1,000 times their level. It usually answers most things that your opponent plays out. He's also just 10-5 base, so... what do you say, Darcy?
I'd say it's pretty unexpected deck to face. I mean, 8 Standby is definitely the most popular build on Mushoku, so it's definitely interesting to see it placed so high. This second place team was probably looking at an anti-meta approach, just kind of have Sunshine to like duke it out with the big guys, and then use this and Bofuri to kind of fight against all the decks that are really heavily board based, and just kind of be able to nuke them in a way.
Yeah. I guess one thing that I noticed with this is the players around me who play Standby Gold Bar Mushoku tend to play a 5th Standby in place of playing 4 Gold Bars, just so you have a little bit more consistency on getting your level 1 errors to 8-5 even if you miss combo. And it's still pretty good to standby out your level 3 Regerd early plays, because you can just bounce them back to hand to get out the level 3 even if you didn't play them from hand. But looks like this player is on 4-4 and just wants to combo more often, which I guess is also pretty fine.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to level 3, I'm
Yeah.
assuming like it won't be the most difficult thing in the world to have combos.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty cool deck. The other thing is double Lilia is pretty interesting too. The effect where you can discard an event doesn't probably come up in this deck because there's no events in here, but you can rest this to give one of your characters the ability to stock kick an opponent that it reverses. I'm pretty keen to know which matchups that this card was affected in to be justified as a 2-up. I guess,
I think
obviously Mushoku has a 2/2 encore that you might want to kick, and just turning off global 1Ks and stuff is pretty good, but I would like to...
I assume this would be pretty good versus a Standby Slime. If there's a Geld in the front row, you can remove it, you can send it to stock,
Well, that's
and
true.
then those other lanes might become more vulnerable.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Lilia is also a pretty good pick going into this meta, at least as a one-off. Second copy is probably up to you, but yep, nice to see that. Alright, that was second place. And third place we have Choice Pants again, but this time with the Mashiro finisher for Bangrate. And here we go. So the level 3 combo, which is not the same as the one we saw earlier. This one heals instead of searching another copy from deck, and if you have a full board when this card's damage is cancelled and you have the climax combo, you can pay to a memory this card to reanimate anything from your waiting room and get extra attacks in. This is much better at guaranteeing a certain amount of damage, but it doesn't have very much reach because if the damage sticks, you don't get to do any more. And we said earlier that Lisa is probably better fitted with playing into the strengths of the ban list, but I don't think this deck plays more than one of the restricted cards.
No, it's only the refresh counter, which I think is, obviously it's an incredible card. I think every deck kind of wants this kind of card nowadays. But it is a bit surprising to not see at least the Arisa level 3, considering the amount of blue that he can put in this deck.
Yeah. Well, but
aside from the other thing with, this is a pretty standard list, to be honest. Yeah. I think it's interesting that there's an extra choice rather than a gate.
Yeah.
And that they run the Icy Tail, the trial deck one, so that, like you said, the Mashiro doesn't have a ton of reach, but if you spawn this card from it, it has a chance of making more reach.
Yeah, I'm
still
pretty
RNG,
sure this is...
but like...
Yeah, this does look like the one card that you want to pull out of your Mashiro on the last attack.
Yeah, like it's still RNG damage, but it's...
Yeah.
If you need to take a chance, it's there.
Yeah. Well, just on the 5 choice, I think from experience playing this deck a little bit, you don't really appreciate triggering pants for like most of the game. So I think the 5th choice is there to lessen the number of occasions that you have where you can trigger pants and kind of frown because your deck compression is weaker, but you don't really appreciate the card advantage either. Yeah, aside from that...
There's only 15 characters with a soul trigger. Is that only enough, do you think, for more choices?
I think for decks that don't play 8 choice, most of the time you don't really need to think about how many soul triggers in your deck much at all. Like it doesn't occur enough that you trigger a choice and you don't have a soul trigger around it at this ratio. With 8, I think you probably start thinking about deck milling and ratios, but I don't think this player would have had too many issues with lack of choice targets.
You're right. Don't trigger, just cancel.
Yeah, that's
wise words.
True. All right, so that was Mashiro. A pretty standard list, but it's still a good one. So, congrats to him too. Then we have Pan Store Slime. So I think we brought this up in our first video, saying that this deck should be doing better relatively because Data Live, which was a really tough matchup before, is no longer in the meta. And I guess it sort of came true here because, we've got to play here in 3rd place. What would you say about the deck?
What is the yellow Rimuru? That one, yeah.
This is a 1035, which gains 1k for each other character you have when it attacks. It has a soul trigger on it, so you see this more in 8 choice as an attacker that you can bring out of Rammus, which also has a soul trigger on it, so you can take advantage of choice. But I think in Pan Store, it's more common to see the Elemental Colossus, which is a 1075 on your turn, regardless of the number of characters you have. It doesn't have a sword trigger, but it's not that important in this deck because it doesn't play choice. So yeah, kind of interesting to see that this is the one that this player decided to take instead.
So it hits 8/5 with a climax if there's a full board, which is
the Mushoku line. Pretty good.
yeah, it's Mushoku lines.
Yeah.
I think only 2 of the level 0 Shizu, the Shimakaze Kai, only 2 of that I think is a little bit surprising. I thought this kind of card would be like really good this meta.
Yeah. It's also
like there's a lot
that goes
of
to
board
memory.
decks. True.
Yeah.
We want a touchable compression.
I think this is a 3 or 4 of in like 90% of Pan Store decks that I see. So yeah, only 2 of this is quite surprising. But I guess the slots probably went to the Ricky, which I don't think I've seen that many Ricky decks for Pan Store recently.
No, but it is still really good. I mean, you have the like the Chaser and the Fukushiro are all like, and the Shizu to an extent. They're all like really great turn 1 options.
Yeah.
And then if you follow that up with a Ricky, kind of don't have to rely on Masks or Chloe to search those combo cards you need early. But it's pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah. It definitely makes the advantage of going first a lot bigger, and depending on how the game goes, going second, you can recover that card advantage difference. So yeah, it's a pretty good choice. It also bumps up the yellow count a little bit, which is honestly, if you don't play this card, your yellow count actually does get quite lacking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's pretty standard. I mean, we see the same 3k memory kit counter, but it's pretty good this meta.
Yeah. This deck, surprisingly, is not bad at building up a board, because you can fairly consistently go into the 10-5 Shizu heal plus 2k support setup.
Yeah.
And then with the 3k backup, going into 15-5 is pretty big.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. And like the only thing that you probably won't be able to like at least contest is the level 3 Ghislaine, which stops counters in the first place. So yeah, it's a.
But you have hand on call for the swing back, which is good.
Yeah, that's also true. Ghislaine's not big on defense, so yeah, I would say this deck is actually quite well positioned.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the better decks for me, I think.
Yeah. Alright, so then we have 8 Standby Mushoku, which is the first 8 Standby Mushoku to top this season. Alright, it's got a lot of tech options at level 0. It's got the Lelio again, this time at 1 copy, but yeah, it's a pretty good card this time. This deck is not playing Stock Swap, interestingly, and plays Pool, I'm assuming, in that slot, which works. If you don't have Stock Swap and your opponent starts building stock, the general way that you want to play Mushoku, I think, is that you play multiple pools in the front row, and you do extra instances of damage every time with pull whenever you cancel. So you try and counter the fact that your opponent's more likely to cancel by just dealing more damage compared to your opponent. So the deck still works. Aside from that, yeah, it's a pretty standard list. I think it goes a bit harder on the tech.
Yeah, there's more tech at level 0 and kind of like less level 3s. Only 8 level 3s in this deck. Kind of like, if they're not running Stock Swap, I would kind of expect it like maybe like the early play, the burn 1 or the healer would be pretty solid option. Another thing actually that catches my eye is the level 2 quantities. So there's 3 of the I don't know her name.
Eris? Eris, yeah.
Eris. There's 3 of this Eris, which is pretty interesting, because normally you'd see more copies of the Ghislaine. What's her name?
Ghislaine, yeah.
Ghislaine.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
usually the other way around in ratios for these 2.
I think this guy just wants more attackers that are can come back, because he's not running those other level 3s. He probably just wants his level 2 to make sure it sticks around.
Yeah. So instead of building for the 8-5 line with Eris plus Global Ghislaine, there's more copies of the 2-2, so you can kind of play for tempo, which I guess it's pretty logical if you think about the fact that there's no early play in here. You want something to persist on the board as the level 2 attacker, which this Eris is probably the best card to fill that role with. This deck also plays 5 counters, which is probably above average. I think most lists play 3 or 4 total, but this is 2 rest counter, 1 anti-change, 1 2k backup. Sorry, 2 2k backups. And it's kind of interesting because, again, there's only 2 copies of Ghislaine, so I thought that it wouldn't be as hard on the on winning the board on defense and just kind of there to replace what it has whilst making your opponent use more resources to answer the board. But yeah, interesting.
Other than that, it's pretty standard though.
Yeah. Right. So that was 3rd place in California, and then we have RWBY 8 Door, Slime 8 Choice, and Mushoku Choice Pants in 4th place, but unfortunately I don't think these lists are available, so we won't be able to discuss those, but congratulations to you guys too. And we will move to Belgium, or Antwerp. Alright, so 1st place we have 8 Standby Mushoku again, back to back. Alright, no stock swap again. Maybe I am in the minority for wanting to play stock swap. Alright, but this time again, 3 pool. I think the card that stands out the most in this list would be the level 3 early play Rudius. If you have 4 characters, you can early play him. He gains 1/5 EF, the experience 6 condition. And for a turn cycle after he's played, he gains 4/5 and neither play can back up during his battle. This is probably a medical. I don't know which meta that I don't know which deck this card is meant to do well against, but you know, you can probably I think this was streamed. I think his name was Martin. Yeah, I don't know if you're watching this video, Martin, yes, and you could tell me later what this card is included for. It'd be pretty interesting. It's not a bad card, because even if you don't have the experience condition, he still hits 13/5 with no backup, which is pretty respectable. The one thing that bothers me about this card is that you can't use backups on him either, so at the very end of the game, you occasionally have an extra line up where you can't use your rest counter. But yeah, aside from that, as 1 copy, it's most likely not part of the main game plan, and if you want to do that at level 3, you could also just play the level 3 Ghislaine for a similar effect anyway, so I would say it's not much of a hindrance, but yeah, it's an interesting card to see in this deck.
A combination of that card and then the level 0 stock kicker, I mean, it guarantees to kill like any card in the game, I'd say, like on the board. It just makes sure it's absolutely gone.
Yeah. Also 3 runners.
This is also very standard. Yeah. Oh, 3 runners. That's wow.
Yeah, I don't really like playing turn 1 attackers at any less than 4, just because it's like you don't really need to see this card past level 0, and the best time to draw it is your first turn. So I just want to play 4 copies and get rid of them later. But
he is playing 4 of the clock searcher though, so. Yeah. I would kind of assume that on the turns, like on turn 1, if he doesn't see the runner, but he sees this card, he'll use it to get the runner. That would be my guess.
Yeah. I typically like to just search my level 1 combo in that case, but you can do that depending on how you see the game running. Yeah. But yeah, alright, pretty cool. That combo clone is definitely catching my attention. And here we are back again with Love Live Sunshine.
First place, baby!
Yeah. Do you think this set might be restricted?
No, we don't know. If we talk about it, it'll happen.
I don't want that. Alright, so I think this list is a little bit closer to what we typically play compared to the one we saw earlier.
Yeah, it is a little bit similar. It's got only 2 healers again. Yeah. I find that personally, when I play this deck, I feel uncomfortable playing less than 4 healers, just because there are times where it's like that deck will die to itself, and so having those healers for stability, it feels really good. Mm-hmm. And the Masashi is really interesting as well. Brandon was playing Masashi, and then we all kind of like
we all collectively
wasn't a big fan. I've played it in the past. I think it's pretty good. It's like if the deck has like your opponent's deck is like, you know, very very small, and you know that they have a guaranteed cancel, or like there's one climax in 4 cards or whatever. That's when this card is pretty good. It does conflict a little bit with like you work really hard to like top check the top card of your deck, but then so you can attack with Yo, but then you need to attack with Masashi, so it ends up like Masashi just being used in like these kind of like RNG finishing turns.
Yeah.
So I'm not a massive fan of it, but I do respect it.
Aside from that, 3 Hanamaru brainstorms is something I don't think I've seen before. It's usually 2 brainstorms, and that's it, or two of the Hanamaru brainstorm plus 1 either draw brainstorm or non-plussing brainstorm. Just as like a alternative option to get out of stickier situations, but I think this is just more in on consistency.
Or a drop searcher. A drop searcher could be used.
Yeah.
There as well. I really like drop searcher in this deck because if you know there are cards that you need to see at level 2, and if you whiff your combo, sometimes it's hard to get those cards. So I do like having a drop searcher. Maybe he just uses brainstorms to just kind of like find more Akatsuki's, and then he can look for his combo pieces while also going through his deck, which is a legitimate strategy. So fair enough.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think with only 2 heals, but playing all the 3 cards, the Musashi, the Bounce, and the Decompressor to get out of slightly more difficult situations means that this deck is probably quite well equipped to deal with all kind of ending turns. So, you know, as long as you get to that end point, which Sunshine is not too bad at doing. Understatement. Yeah, I think you have all the options you need to end the game. So yeah.
I think we prefer to play a little bit more defensively. With Sunshine.
True.
But this is definitely all in on aggressiveness, which is another like pretty strong approach to Sunshine. Like any approach to Sunshine is strong.
Sunshine is probably just always strong as long as Mirai Ticket is a thing. So
you got like these 12 cards, 4 Rico, 4 Yo, 4 Chica, and then the other is filler.
Yeah.
So...
oh god, that's Sunshine for you. Alright, and then we have 8 Door Fate. This is a favorite, just not our favorite, I think.
It's
a favorite
I like Fate.
It's a favorite on like some Discord groups and stuff that I know of.
Yeah.
I don't know what to interesting brainstorm split, I guess. One of the gold bar brainstorm, which is just a salvage brainstorm in this deck, plus 2 of the level 1 brainstorm, which is also a salvage brainstorm but has an additional line of text. Like, I'd assume you always just want this brainstorm on the board opposed to the gold bar brainstorm, because this deck doesn't play gold bars.
Yeah, this one kind of helps as well versus like Mushoku and probably other big decks at level 1.
Yeah.
You're definitely losing a lane, so it's okay to kind of chump that lane and give your bigger lane even more power to get over stuff. I think there are a few things to kind of talk about. Though Shiro Avenger is like pretty interesting, and instead kind of using 3 drop searches. So and I don't fully get the reason for not including the Shiro, because it does enable a lot of aggressiveness at level 0 and level 1. And this deck doesn't have access to gold bar either, so it's kind of more difficult to find climaxes. So I think this deck kind of doesn't have the aggression I would like at level 0 and level 1. It does have the Sakura bomb, which can pay 1 to save itself, which is nice. But if you're using that, like if you're going second, let's say, and you're using it to attack or kill one of their cards, you can't really use the effect. So I think that's interesting. And then the other bit is like, because he's using the Door Sakura level 3 combo, there's no healers. So like no healers tied to a climax. So instead he's opting for 4 of the early play, which is it's pretty good. It's like like 11.5. It's pretty big with if you resonate.
The Zelrich, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's how you say it. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the event is not incredible. It's kind of average, but it's pretty good because it's tied to a Rin. So Rin is like 11.5 for early play heal. That's like really good. So it's definitely an interesting deck, and there's free of the rider 2-1 to kill stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's a high number. I think the idea is that he draws one and then you Savage Brainstorm for one, so you have two. And yeah, this card's spicy. So this stuns a card. So you normally would probably choose a back row standby card. That thing won't be able to move forward, and it removes all trades. So there's probably a lot of implications for this. It's the kind of card that makes you read your own cards. Like, well, what's actually like gaining power from where? Like,
yeah.
Oh, my things are all tied to traits or
Well,
something like that.
Off the top of my head, Mushoku's 1/1 Eris only gains 2k if all of your characters are Six-Faced World, so that would turn off. The global 1k from the 2/2 Ghislaine turns off. The 2/2 Eris will go to 6k because all of your characters lose the trait.
Yeah.
I think but it's only for this turn, so I think in conjunction with the other 2/1 Rider, it's most likely a card to answer some stuff on your turn, and then you're kind of okay with this card not surviving the opponent's one.
Yeah, I think if you're playing this card, you're just kind of focusing on the one turn, and then you can still salvage a pack. You can attempt to do it over multiple turns, but it's kind of like just for you just want things to kind of stop your opponent for maybe one turn, and then that one turn against like against certain decks is maybe enough. Like typically we associate like 8 standby decks. If their board is broken, it's kind of hard to rebuild it.
Yeah.
It's maybe not so much the case with Mushoku because they have early plays and Twin Drive on some of their cards via playing a climax or triggering climax. So it is interesting. I would say that.
Just on the level 3 Rin again, this deck doesn't have any counters aside from Zelreg, which doesn't give power. So even though she's 11.5, I think that also adds to the idea that this deck is probably more like offense oriented in terms of board power.
True.
It's 11.5 is decent, but not that hard to get over if it doesn't have any supports behind it or counters. And this deck doesn't have any static supports as far as I can see.
The level.
Sorry, the level 1 is.
Oh, that's an Amagi.
Yeah,
that's during your.
No, it's only on
it's
your turn. Yeah, it's only on your turn. Sorry. So yeah, I think for the most part,
level
this
1
deck is just
I mean, not the level 1. The level 0. That's a one off the Sakura.
Yes.
That one. Yeah, it's global 5.
Oh, it's a global 5. Okay, so it goes to 12k, but it's still not unbeatably large. And with no counter, yeah, I think it appears that the deck is probably more offense oriented, and maybe once you use the 2/1 support to, make your opponent's turn more difficult, then the 12k becomes a bit more threatening. But yeah, that's about it. But actually, no, this is another good mention though. So this has the ability to give one of your characters a clock kick, not damage, because it makes your opponent heal 1 first. But similar to the Lilia that's being played in the Mushoku decks, I think it's another way to deal with your opponent's board and make sure that they can't reuse it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work if your opponent has 0 cards in clock, unlike the stock one, but yeah, still a pretty good inclusion.
It's notably very broken versus Sunshine if they cancel.
Yes,
if
they cancel, it removes the early play condition. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool deck. I mean, it's cool to see like Fate top that's not Gilgamesh. I mean,
Gilgamesh was the only Rumble top, yeah.
Crazy.
Despite Fate being one of the sets that is restricted only in Japanese, it doesn't seem to do consistently well in tournaments, and the builds that do well in tournaments aren't always the same build. So yeah, I'd say we're pretty keen to check how the trends go going forward in Springfest this year. Alright, so that was first place in Antwerp. Congratulations to the first place team. And we are on second place now with 8 Choice Slime. Oh, system error has occurred.
Whoa, okay.
Oh wait, no, that's
just worth noting while that loads. First place team was members from NTCG, so congratulations to those guys.
Alright, it worked. There's a lot of foils in this deck, which makes it difficult to put everything on the screen at once, but I'll just show the bottom row first. So that's 2 climaxes, and level 0 is Shizu, which climax swaps and can choose which card to trigger from the top 2 when it attacks. I don't think there's too much to talk about this card, so I hope you guys don't miss this card not being fully on the screen. So I'll just put it there. Where do I start? I just need to make sure that I know what all these foils do.
If this guy had like 4 more like SPs or SSPs, it would have been max rarity, and I don't think he would have lost the game.
Sure.
Like if your deck is max rare and you like the anime, it's so powerful.
The power of anime.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of cards that stand out. So there's one off clean cut, which is interesting.
That's this card?
That's the yeah, it's that one. I believe it's a clean cut.
Yeah,
it's
that's
clean
the
cut.
new clean cut. It gains 1/5 and a level if the top card of your deck is Demon Continent on play, and it clean cuts.
So
that's an interesting
it's
one-off. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. So it's a one-off because there's 3 Rickies in the deck. So a typical like turn 1, turn 2 player might look something like you play your Chaser or like your Fukujiro and you attack with that, and then it lives maybe, or the Fuka dies and you get cool effects, and then the next turn might be Ricky into a clean cut, and then you can attack with like, maybe a Brainstormer or kind of maybe you're level 1 at this point and you can play your level 1s and you can clean cut those, get them for multiple turns.
I think this level 3 Shion, if it is what I think it is, I don't know.
There's so many
one-offs. Okay, this is what it is. What I think it is. So, when it's played from hand, when it's played when it is played from hand, it gains 4/5 and the ability that neither player can back up during this card's battle for a turn cycle. Same as the one of early play, Rudy, as we saw in the Mushoku deck earlier. And you can also pay 1, discard a character on attack to heal 1. I think this card is usually played in conjunction with the Ranga that is able to pull this card out of the waiting room as an early play. But in this deck it seems like just a one-off to deal with boards. Most likely I would say this one is for Mushoku. And it's an optional heal, which you can bring out on the last attack of Rimuru. So if it looks like you can't end the game, you can heal once and then pass, which is not bad.
That's a lot of like stock in hand to do all of that.
1 cost to 1 hand is not cheap, but it's just something you can do, so it's not terrible. But I think
Dig X early play as well.
Sorry?
The Dig X early play is pretty interesting.
The top X early play.
We saw him use it on stream.
Yeah.
And it was pretty useful for him. I mean, there's times where you need a choice climax, or you just kind of need combo pieces. This card like helps you out a lot.
Definitely did that on stream. I think it's a pretty good inclusion though, because this deck just kind of wants to keep constantly pushing from as soon as you can start attacking 3 times, and this really lets you keep doing that. It puts a 2-soul character on the board, it digs you a card so you don't lose the card advantage. You can go into your endgame where you can make your current turn stronger. It's got decent power. So yeah, I think it has all the components of a card that you want in this, and because this list isn't playing the level 3 Ranga that brings out the Shion, it makes sense to have 2 copies of this card. I think the standout card for this deck, aside from the fact that the ratios are quite different to everything else, would be the level 1 Hakuro support. It's a level support. If you trigger a yellow climax and you have one of your markers under this, you can marker a card from your waiting room, and you can pay 1 and dump 2 markers to salvage a yellow card in your waiting room. So it's a bit slow because you need to trigger 2 yellow climaxes before you can do anything, unless you want to just use this for compression. But it can grab any yellow card, including climaxes as well. So I guess it also is another card to widen the options that this deck has. The unfortunate part is that the level support text is not particularly useful at level 1, which is when this card didn't first come out, because your level 1 line is not that big, sorry.
What is the level 0 red foil card?
This card?
Not that one, no, the other one.
This one.
Yeah, that one. What is that
I think
card?
this is the Twin Drive. Yeah, against 3k and 3k on your turn if you have another character and it has Twin Drive. It's the same as the Nana from Review Starlight set 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a pretty interesting card. I think
yeah, you don't
it's like another okay attacker, and then you can kind of, like with 8 choice, you can just kind of like get a lot of stock for like no reason, so
yeah.
it's not bad.
It's not great at staying on the board with only 1k power on defense, but because this deck kind of just wants to speed up the game, being able to do potential extra damage with more soul, more chances to trigger a soul trigger, and more chances to trigger choice means that you're speeding up the game while building resources that you can use on your finisher. It's a pretty decent inclusion in this deck, I would say.
Yeah.
Alright, so yeah, a lot of small choices.
A lot of foil cards and a lot of one-offs.
Yeah, a lot of cards one-offs, and I guess there's a wide range of actions you can take with this deck, which means though,
yeah,
I'm kind of curious how you get the necessary pieces each time, but I think this level 0 Shizu. Oh, this is the foil version of the Shimakaze Kai.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, me. We wouldn't know because
yeah, we wouldn't know. I'm a
can't
base
afford
rare
these
scrub.
cards.
But yeah, I'm curious how the player wants to get all the tech cards in hand at each point in the game, because Choice isn't very good at getting all these level 0s in hand. But yeah, it's.
Yes, that's where the Ricky comes in.
True, yeah. I definitely imagine that there's going to be lists in the future which play like a small selection of all these tech cards based on what they think is going to be in the meta, and yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to approach tournaments. Alright, so that was 8 choice slime from the second place team, and then we have 8 choice Data Live, which here we are. Does this deck play restricted cards? Yes. No, it doesn't, because because My Little Show is not restricted in English, which is an interesting position actually. But aside from that, this deck is, well, it's kind of the data bullet deck that we all knew about even before the ban list hit us, because this was probably just the best way to build with the choice finisher, because you get to play 8 choice, which is a pretty solid climax lineup. Both your level 1 combo is kind of overpowered, level 3 combo is pretty decent too. What stands out to me is this card.
I like this card.
This is the card that swaps between being a runner and a twin drive depending on the number of cards in your clock. I think originally, people, myself included, said that this card was probably not very good, because if you take a direct for 3 on your opponent's first turn, going second, this card stops being a runner immediately. But, unless you just don't clock, but you're gonna clock on your first turn. But if you think about it, if you took 3 on your first swing, you probably don't really care about the fact that this isn't a runner anymore as much, because you're just gonna level up next turn. So yeah, maybe this card is pretty good. Data Live's other level 0 attackers are not that incredible. Obviously the 8 standby deck didn't really play like proper level 0 attackers, they just played all utility. And I think that there's a mill runner in the Japanese version for Data Live, but I'm not sure if that card exists in English, and it's also just a mill runner in a deck with 3 events, so
I think we're meant to get the runner in like the surprise set that's like
infinitely
delayed.
Yeah,
I think it's the promo for that. It could be wrong.
I think it might be. I don't know what's
What
happening.
is the card? What is the card between the counter and the finisher?
The card between the counter and the finisher, I think this is the level 3 2k support. Yes, level 3 2k support, which can rest itself to put a character from waiting room to top or bottom of clock, and then at the end of the turn you put the bottom card of your clock back into the waiting room.
Okay.
So it enables alarm for the most part, and also if you took a refresh point as a climax and it's the bottom card of your clock, you can heal that off later. It mostly sets up for everything you want to do while giving 2k to your early play, I would say.
Well, you have the 1/1 resonate is like no, the other card.
That's
The
not a resonate.
to the right of the climax combo.
The right
Yeah,
of...
the level 1. Yeah, that one.
That's
Really crazy. Oh, yes, what I said,
Okay.
level 1. Okay, yeah, it's because it's sultry and it confused me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure, it's got a soul trigger.
This card's really good. It's because like the reason that like a choice is like able, besides like the level 1 combo, in my opinion. It's like it's global 5, which is cool, but it's kind of like what do you call it? Taketsubo. It grabs your finisher. You can resonate, and then you can always swap cards from your hand and your clock, and then you can use those cards like your the 2k support that we just saw to like manipulate your clock. And so you can do things like put the alarms on the top, or you can get the cards that you need in hand, and you can swap them all out. It's really cool interaction.
Yeah. You can quite consistently keep your hand quality high because of this card, and I believe it can also search. Sorry, you can also fetch non-characters, is it? Yeah, one card in your clock. So you can
grab events.
You can get events and climaxes out of clock, which is pretty nice. Yeah, that would definitely be the draw to playing a choice if I were asked to play this deck.
It's a really fun deck. I really like. I enjoy this deck.
Yeah, playing decks with lots of moving parts is pretty fun.
It's really good to see not only Kaguya, which we saw get first in the American event, but also Al still be playable, and you can still top with them even though they've been hit by our first ban list.
Yeah, I mean, people have always been saying Data Bullet is not hit by the restriction, so Data Bullet is still playable. You don't have to worry about all this ban list stuff.
Yeah,
you can still commit this. So yeah, cool deck to see. And then last on the second place Antwerp team, we have Stocksoul Pants Bofuri.
This was actually
Stocksoul Pants.
piloted by Tim, the guy who won in Europe.
Oh, okay, so he's on the same deck.
Good to see him top again.
Congratulations. I think most of what we want to say about this deck is more or less what we covered on the first one.
The decks look the same from where I am. They're different, but I think all the core cards are the same.
I think this deck has foils.
True.
Yeah. I think the level 2 and level 1 combos are foil. The card next to the brain... Is that a brainstorm? No, the top... The one where you declare a number and you draw if you're lucky is also a foil.
Yes.
Oh, it's the same card. Okay. Yeah, but I am not an expert on this deck, so if there are minor differences that I have not noticed, I'm sorry, but I don't know what else there is. Alright. So
yeah, I mean, it's good anti-meta pick, this format.
Alright, so congrats again. And then we go to third place, which has 8 Choice Madoka. Here we are. Why does everyone play foils? At least the Madoka foils look the same. Have you played much 8 Choice Madoka?
Literally none.
Oh yeah.
I know what all the cards do.
I know what the cards do as well, but I don't actually know too much about.
No, I don't fully get what the game plan is.
Unfortunately, Madoka is one of those sets where. Because I don't know. Well, actually, does this deck play a Rest 2? I don't think it's playing the Rest 2 Brainstorm.
No, it's not.
Oh, interesting. Okay, it also doesn't play the other card.
Or the Scry card. Yeah, the Scry card.
I was thinking,
really good in it.
A lot of the times I see Madoka lists, in theory, if your deck compression becomes super good, you can use the Rest 2 Brainstorm plus the card that goes to stock. Maki Koru or Koru Maki. I don't know which way it is. All Madoka characters have 2 first names. Yeah, you can, in theory, go infinite with those, because if you hit more than one on Brainstorm each time, you get more stock. Your hand is replaced, and then you replenish your stock, and then you can free refresh. but neither of those cards are in this deck, so I don't know how this deck works. I think this is not a common card that I see. At the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you can... Oh, okay, it's a talking head. So it can move one of your opponent's characters to an open position. So it's like a mover. Instead of running, it moves your opponent's character.
Yeah.
Get out of the way. I guess that's just a turn 1 attacker. You have 2 drop searches. And then here's the...
It's clean card.
Yeah, it's the typical...
That's clean card.
The free refresh.
Yeah.
There's 4 clean cards, so... I think this deck wants to attack quite a bit. I know this card is really good.
What does this card do?
When one of your other characters' game is reversed, you can give something else 1k, and you can sack this to save something in the front row.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
So I guess like it means that if you draw multiple of your level 1 combo, you can go into a second turn of Felicia because she's only big on your own turn. But yeah, overall, unfortunately, I don't know what this deck plays towards. Like this, like obviously there's a lot of good cards. This Sayaka's Wish is a good card. Even though the only target is the level 3 Sayaka, this level 3 Sayaka fetches this, so that's kind of not really a problem. There's another 1-cost heal in the detailed recipe where you can search and heal 1 for 1 stock. And you can sort of get your you can sort of just keep your choices to retain your stock, but yeah, I don't know where this deck is, where you focus this deck on. I'm very curious.
Yeah, this is one of the puzzling ones.
Yeah.
To us. we're not Madoka players.
I just don't have the Madoka experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone knows how this deck works, I would very much like to know. So you can bump me up on social media.
I've only seen whenever I've played against like Madoka, it's always like been suffering, which is like bad, but also good because it's like flavorful for like the anime. So it's like, okay.
I really liked the first set book gold bar version of Magia Record when it was available.
I played
Japanese.
Oh, that one, yeah. I played it was Rebellion. I played that. That was my first Japanese deck.
We all have some fond Madoka memories, but obviously we're not up to date with the current Madoka lore, so...
Who are all these characters?
Alright, but yeah, thanks. Congratulations to the Madoka player, but unfortunately we have...
He got his promo.
Yeah.
No one can take that away.
We lack the expertise. The critical information.
Yeah.
Alright, so here we are back to Kaguya. I guess maybe 3 Miyuki is pretty popular now.
I think this is the exact same deck as the first place at NA, except instead of
fewer brainstorms. I think the first place NA
was playing
3, and this one's only playing 1. I think the number of runners is also a bit different.
3 level 2 Slayer and only 2 of the yellow 2/2 with hand on call.
Yeah, it was 1 and 2 in the previous list that we saw, where it's 1 and 3 now.
Yeah.
Which
I think is a bit more common.
Yeah, this is generally the more common. I think 4/2/2s in 4 standby decks is what you tend to see. The 2 level 0s that weren't in the other decks. So I think this is a drop salvage.
Oh yeah,
it's a drop salvage that gains 1k and becomes 3k if you have 3 or less stock. So it's a non-terrible turn 1 attacker. Because runners and stuff sometimes won't be able to fight this. If they can, well, it's not like playing out any other utility card would have been any better anyway. And because you're missing Ricky, this lets you go into your level 1 combo and other important parts if necessary every now and then. Not as good as Ricky, but it's still a utility that lets you get cards. That extra little bit of 1k power instead of 2k from Ricky. Gosh, this is depressing to say. Yeah, because it does like a little bit of those 2 things, it I guess is an adequate replacement.
Yeah.
And then the level 0 Kaguya is a Search Brainstorm that reduces power of an opponent's character by 500 on play. I don't see this card being played very often.
No, it's not the most common card, but I think if you're removing like your cards that are guaranteed pluses, like the Ricky, kind of would like something like you might be like down in cards that you normally would have early in the game. Yeah. And then if that like translates to late game, it means you might have slightly less cards. That's where something like this could be really useful.
True. I guess also in the mirror, because it reduces 500, you can melt your opponent's Ishigami. Oh, sorry, it's called you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
with the Shimikaze kind that we saw.
Yeah, there's a few cards this card
Pop up a
can
little bit.
melt, so it's not bad at all.
Sakura from the
Oh,
deck.
yeah, true. Alright, so a lot of level 0 attackers that sort of stay on the board for a turn kind of get answered by this card, so maybe this card is a lot better than what I initially thought. Right, pretty cool inclusion right there. I think, oh yeah, and this deck also isn't playing the extra level 3 to give power, either the 2k support or the global 1/5.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the current standard for Kaguya.
Yep, it looks like it so far.
Right, and then we are again looking at
Whoa!
Sunshine. It's getting...
Anyone watching this, we need to slow down with the Sunshine Tops, guys. We don't want this deck dying.
Yeah.
We don't want this deck to get hit.
Yeah. You guys gotta
There's Germany and Chicago this weekend. No one take this deck to Germany and Chicago if you're listening.
Yeah.
No one.
Thanks, guys. Counting on you. Right, and like I feel like every Sunshine list I look at, it just gets closer to what I played.
Is this not just Brandon's deck? What's
Yeah, I think Brandon was Brandon was playing 2 Brainstorm, 1 Draw Brainstorm, 2 yellow, 1 Draw Brainstorm. But like aside from that, I think everything else looks the same.
I like this deck more than Brandon's because it's not running the Draw Brainstorm.
True.
I like this.
Yeah, of course. I think we've covered most of the Sunshine stuff, but I like 3 heals in this.
I appreciate them running more.
Yeah,
heals.
Darcy said that he feels uncomfortable with less than 4, and while I'd sort of agree, I think that if you have to cut space for like the decompressor level 3 or the bounce, which I don't think this is running, you have to maybe cut this card. So yeah, but honestly, I don't really like going below 3 in Sunshine, even though it's more of a offense-oriented deck. Because sometimes you just take that bit of damage and you need to heal down for 1 turn, and you can't afford to like be on 3/3 and push damage, because then your opponent hits level 3 and then you're gonna die. So yeah, I think 3 is probably the bare minimum number, and this deck just gets that balance quite right, in my opinion. But yeah, congratulations, but I would prefer it if you keep Sunshine low profile, please. Thanks.
Ken's lying. Ken wants this deck dead. I don't.
No, I like it when sets that I play get restricted sometimes, because it means that I was playing the right deck. And I can blame myself for not being the best player, but I know that I got some things right. This time it's Gold Bar Door, Fate. This is very popular in the Dutch community, I'm guessing.
True. Everyone who in Top Cut is from the Netherlands, actually.
Oh, really?
Interesting fact. Yeah, everyone at Top 4 at Antwerp was is Dutch. So.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Dream team.
Like top 3 locals in the world must be like somewhere in America, Sydney, and then somewhere in the Netherlands.
Wow, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so Door Gold Bar. I think this deck got mentioned a lot when Data Life started popping up as a deck. Well, more like in general, when the Gold Bar level 1 combo Sakura stopped being able to consistently get reverses, and that became a big struggle. And the shift went to Door because it's just easier to get card advantage while you still have the sort of benefits of Gold Bar.
Yeah, I think another really not talked about benefit of Gold Bar is that you are naturally using more green cards, and so you actually have stock swap now.
Yeah.
The other list wasn't using it, and we both agree that stock swap is like a really, really important card. If your opponent has had a lucky game, say like no triggering and then can build lots of stock, really good. And if there's many videos and many discussions out there on like why stock swap is like such a unnecessary. I wouldn't play Fate if I couldn't use stock swap. That's kind of my opinion on it.
Yeah. Well, true. I think because your back row is gonna be green in this deck mostly, you can just put the Amaki in the front row, I guess. Yeah, it's easier to use
Yeah,
stock
I mean,
because you can just put one more green card in the front and you're set.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Side from
The Golba level 3 combo is pretty interesting. So, when I first thought about using this card, like my first thing that came to my mind was, will I actually be able to win on offense? So, cards are pretty big these days, and so I think, yeah, you actually are pretty big, but quite a lot of the time your opponent's cards are also pretty big. So, well, I get like minus 3k, but like it's even.
It's 14k effectively if you
Yeah,
slam climax
and
and use combo.
15.5 with the back row.
Yeah.
So there are times where I'm concerned about using it, but if you can pick your timings okay, and maybe actually that's probably where the trait remover card actually can come quite handy for your Medusa turns. That might make your opponent's board a lot weaker.
I mean, sorry, who's Medusa? I only know Ryder.
Oh, sure, sorry.
Is this a spoiler?
Is it a spoiler?
No, it's alright. We all know what FGO is.
The visual novel's been out for 19 years. But also something worth noting is this is done by Nendo. So he's made a video talking about this deck already. You guys can go check that out on his YouTube channel. And he said that he's going to make another one upcoming. So be sure to look out for that one when it arrives.
Okay. Alright, that's pretty cool. Just curious what this card is.
It's one of these. Discard Climax. Yes.
It's Discard Climax Salvage, but it's also one of those. It's one of those frustrating cooler number cards. Okay, I'm assuming it's mostly Discard Climax.
He's running a pretty even amount of like level 3, 2, and 1s. So, I mean, there's like more level 2s than most decks would have.
Yeah.
So
it's 9, 7, 7 again, and then what's that? 16, 25. So
I always call level 0 because I'm like, I don't want to.
I called 3 against my opponent last weekend because I think I saw like 4 out, and my opponent was like 6 hand anyway. So even if he drew 4 cards, I didn't think he would be able to use all of them effectively. Okay. He did draw 3, but yeah, I think
in casual games I call high numbers because it's more hype if something cool happens. But for tournaments, I generally don't call high numbers.
Yeah,
the downside is not worth it.
If your opponent's hand size is low, it's kind of fine to let your opponent draw 1. If their hand size is high, I think it's alright to choose a high number, which has a lower chance of giving them a big return, because they're already kind of set up anyway. Like, drawing the extra cards may not really be necessary.
Alright, if your opponent draws 4 cards and kills you because of it, you blame it on Ken, not me.
Yeah, you can blame me on that, I guess, if that does happen, but, you know...
it's a cool deck. It's a cool deck, I like it.
Yeah. I'll check out his video later as well. I think it's linked in this Wise Tea Time article at the bottom, actually.
Oh, nice. Is it?
Yeah, there's a few deck texts. Maybe not linked here, but I'd assume that it'll be linked here once the writer finds out about him.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You know, this is a very
and 4th place team is also ENTCG again, so congrats to ENTCG.
Yeah. I think the Ian is also in.
Yes, the Ian is the next deck. This is Ian's deck.
Door Pants Standby. Is this the first triple climax lineup?
We had the
this is a lot of
decks
cards
with like random choices. Yeah.
Can I ask people to stop playing like random foils, please?
Oh my god, I don't think I know the foils.
Alright, so for starters, it's 1 Standby, 4 Door, and 3 Pants. This combo is on the level 3? Well, the one that comes out of
Pura level 3.
and stands herself, right? The Pyra? Yeah, okay. So she can stand herself by paying 2 and sending the climax to the waiting room when she comes out of a standby during the standby phase. It's pretty interesting to see Pants as the 3 of. I feel like when I see Pants in any deck which has 3 different climaxes, it's usually a 1 of, just so you have a slightly increased chance of getting the climax in your hand. But does this deck actually... Oh, it does play the combo. Alright.
Yeah. Click on the combo when you when you refresh.
So when it comes into play, you top X add a character where X is... add anything where X is the number of characters you have. And when it attacks, it's a mocker. Sorry, you look it up to two of your opponent's deck, dump
Oh,
any number, rearrange the rest, and then do the same on your own deck.
yeah, interesting.
This is another deck
It doesn't
which,
heal.
yeah, it doesn't
Doesn't
heal,
heal.
but which card is this?
So that's a Kunbaru player.
Another combo. Okay, combo is a very
Yeah,
popular.
so it seems like Kunbaru is like the card for this meta.
Yeah.
That's what people are telling us. Which is that word, Ruby? Is this the
This is, I
burn
think, yeah, it's paid to discard to burnt. At the end of this card's attack, burn 2.
It's unplay salvage.
An on-play salvage, yeah. So
There's only
I think,
three
just
healers.
3 heals, which is the early
Is that
play
covered?
heal, yeah.
Interesting.
Alright, so unfortunately, this is again one of those decks which I kind of know what all the cards do, but it's difficult for me to work out where the deck plays into each turn. I guess.
I think this deck is just kind of like a good stuff deck. I mean, it uses the door level 1 combo, which is I like the door level 1 combo. I was about to say it can get a lot of power from the clean cut, but it's actually only running 1 clean cut. The clean cut is like similar to the Chica, which is like on play reveal top, and then if it's character, you get something 2k.
Yeah.
Which is normally like really good.
It's really
if
good
you're
because it.
level. It's really good in general.
Yeah. But a lot of the time, clean cuts don't really do anything past level 0, maybe level 1. But because this card has that extra line of text, it has a function later on in the game, which makes this card probably one of the best clean cuts, if not the best clean cut that currently exists.
Yeah, I think you could call it the best clean cut at the moment since the K1.
It's certainly up there. So yeah, it's a pretty cool.
We saw the slime deck use 1 clean cut and then multiple rookies, similar to what this deck is doing. So
yeah,
maybe the strategy here is turn to aggressiveness, that you play the rookie to search for the clean cut and then to play the clean cut. Which is an option. What is the level 1 left of the level 1 combo?
Left the red one.
Yes.
This is when something else attacks, it gains 500 times the number of other remnants you have, and then you can hand on-call. So
Okay, so this is pretty good.
On the last attack, on a full board, it will gain 10k. At least it will be 8k on offense, even if you don't have a back row.
Yes, so this is pretty good versus like your level 1 standby boards.
Yeah,
it can beat over what's her name? Eris? Beat over Eris with Glenn in the back row.
Yeah. I think a lot of the time people associate 1/1s with standby, especially players who started playing more recently. But this kind of effect where you're big on offense but not big on defense is actually really good in decks like Door, where you have the hand to keep this card going, and once you don't need it, you can just get better cards and play them next turn. But it's a constant. Yeah, in a deck which doesn't. In a deck which doesn't have hand problems. It's the easy way of putting constant board pressure on your field. And 1 stock isn't a huge investment, so yeah, I like the inclusion of this card. It looks like a pretty good medical.
Things like your runners and your neon cats, once they're useless, they can become hand on call for them.
Yeah. There's actually slightly a small amount of synergy going here because neon cat can just bounce herself every now and then. So you attack with this at level 0, it comes back to hand, you don't have any use for it, you can discard it to get your 1/1 to stay on the board for an extra turn. So yeah, it's a pretty cool synergy.
Very, very spicy deck,
yeah.
I would say.
How many unique cards is this deck playing? 1, 2,
oh
3, 4, 5, 6. That's the same one, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's the same one, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 28. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I think it's usually like 20, it's about 20, 21, 22.
In Sunshine, it feels like 10.
Well, based on the rewards we thought, I think in Sunshine it's about 15.
Yeah.
Which is on the lower end.
This is
even the decks I play, when I count, I think it's like 20, give or take, 21, give or take a bit.
I would love to see like gameplay of this deck, just because it's very interesting, very spicy.
At least we got to see some of the gameplay for Antwerp through a stream on Ian's Twitch channel. Not sure if it was entirely just Ian's endeavor on that one, but it's something I appreciate. And if any other Springfest events decide to live stream and put them on the internet, I think many players, including myself, would be very appreciative of that. Anyway, we are on 8 Standby Mushoku this time, except okay.
It's using the TDSP as well, interestingly enough.
The TDSP.
The like $1,000 thing.
Sorry, which card are we looking at?
Roxy.
Oh yes, this card. This card is very expensive, I heard. Yes.
It's a high rarity deck.
Yeah, it's a high rarity deck, but again, I'm slightly frustrated by the fact that there's like multiple cards. It's not because I don't recognize the artwork, because I just want everything to fit on the screen in a more condensed way. But you know,
okay.
I can't complain. Anyway,
this deck looks so standard.
It looks
what is
very close to what I was playing. Yeah. Yet again, I think no stock swap, so maybe stock. Wow, I really am in the minority on stock swap, at least up to this point.
Yeah, and also none of the level 0 stock kicker, which we've seen
no Lilia
quite a
this
few
time,
people.
which is it's a tech option. So like we were saying, it's good, but like in a very broad sense, the deck it doesn't lose any core functions without it. So it doesn't become bad. It's just I would say decks with Lilia are just better equipped to deal with certain scenarios.
We can also see like a bit of like a regional difference. Like things like 8 Standby Slime is definitely a lot more popular in the Americas, where in here it's not really as popular.
It does seem so, yeah. Aside from that, just on Lilia again, I guess, you can actually use the discard event effect in this deck, because you can discard the Mega, is it Charm?
You can call it Amulet.
Amulet, okay. Yeah. The Mega Amulet, and salvage a card, because this card only searches, so sometimes you want to salvage instead. And at level 3, this card is actually a neg, because you don't get to use the level up effect, because by the time you level up the next time, you're going to lose the game. So very occasionally does come up, but yeah, I think aside from that, this deck is very standard. It doesn't deviate from anything at all.
Not really.
Yeah. Well, the only deviation is that it's playing like 1 and 2 of
the foils.
I find it very frustrating when the same card comes with multiple rarities in the same deck and like doesn't fit on the screen or it looks different. But yeah, that's just me. Don't worry about it.
If someone gave you 2 SPs, but you run 4 of the card, you would still use it.
No, I would put them in my binder.
Wow, crazy.
Or I might buy 2 more, but like, you go on me.
Yeah, I get you.
Alright. Yeah, I think that's the last deck that we wanted to cover today. Oh, and well, alright, so we'll move on to the distribution of decks in top 4. We've kept it to top 4 because we don't have full information on top 8 on some in some areas. So, ding, here we are. So this is currently what we have as of the end of the second regional in Antwerp, so just California and Antwerp. Set distribution by numbers and by percentage. We did not separate decks by deck type, so even though we saw different builds of Mushoku, different builds of Slime, we just counted them as the same deck. And yeah, what do you think, Darcy?
I think this is really cool. I mean, it's trio, so naturally it's always going to be a little bit diverse. But we've got a lot of decks being represented, like things like Dao, Madoka, Bofuri, even Fate, which didn't get a lot of rep in the Springfest Online. Well, I guess Dao did, but not this build. And the Bro, sorry. But as we can see, 50% of top cut at the moment for top 4 is Mushoku, Slime, and Sunshine. So it's definitely clear like what the top decks are based off this at the moment.
Yeah.
At least the popular ones.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's somewhat reassuring, I would say, to see that the decks that we said would probably be good going into Springfest are the ones that are performing well. Which, yeah, you know, Mushoku, Slime, Sunshine. I know that the Sunshine being the third most popular deck in Top Cut is concerning for Darcy, but for me, I'm excited to see that this deck is finally doing well after
I have so many foils.
after all these years. And yeah, Mushoku, I think I think only one of the 5 that we saw was not playing Standby at all. That's the one that was in 4th place in California that we didn't get to see the list for. But yeah, that does mean that for Standby Mushoku, is the most Standby Mushoku, even if not 8 Standby, is the most represented deck. Sunshine is all the same decks. Slime, there's a bit of a mix right now. There's
Slime, there's 2 choice, choice, and then one of the other 2.
I think there wasn't it 2 Standby, 1 choice, 1.
No, because it was 2 choice. We one of them was the 4th place team from California. We didn't get to see.
Oh, okay, sure. All right, but yeah, there's a mix there of at least 3 different decks. So if you separate by deck type as well, the most represented is Mushoku and then Sunshine, interestingly.
Yeah,
which,
concerning.
You know, it's concerning yet reassuring, I would say.
Something else that I think is pretty interesting is that both RWBY builds that topped, the one that we showed that Ian used, and then the 8-door one that we don't have access to, both don't use the RWBY level 3 combo, which I don't know about you, but I personally think is like really, really strong. And it probably gets better with Hololive and Rushia being put out soon.
Yeah.
I really like that it's board removal. We've seen a lot of people put in Kunbarus to attack over stuff, and this is kind of like a similar concept.
Well, Kunbaru being popular was, I think, one big trend that we caught during this, during this session.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's going to persist, but it would be pretty cool to see if it does. On RWBY,
people love their choice climaxes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Slime and Madoka and Danger.
Yeah. Slime does seem... Choice does seem to be the next thing after the thing, the 50%ers, let's say. So, yeah, that might also be on the rise. I think with Hololive coming out, there's also a pretty decent choice combo or 2 in that set as well.
Yep, the Coronet level 1 combos.
Some people, I think, I think there's going to be some people playing Coco as well, the level 3 finisher. So, yeah, I think choice will be on the rise. That's most of what we want to say. I guess when Hololive comes out, where do you think it'll kind of fit into the pie chart?
I think it'll be just as high as Mushoku, in my opinion. I think that it doesn't necessarily have to reflect its strength, but it is just going to have a very high representation, I think.
Yeah, representation will definitely push it a bit higher than what its perceived strength will be, I think. But even in strength...
When we want to start looking at strength, then maybe that's where your singles tournaments have to start coming in to kind of get examples from that.
Yeah.
Teams is like a little bit different because, so stuff like Madoka is like a good example. Not the most stable deck, I would say, for a single event, but because it's trios and that you don't necessarily have to have an incredible record to top, it gives everything kind of like a pretty fighting chance at the moment. That's like one of the best bits about not only this meta that we're in at the moment, but teams, is that lots of decks are like really, really viable. I mean, just from 2 tournaments, we've got really great diversity.
It's true, yeah. So we can see trends, but there's still diversity. So yeah, that's definitely a good feature of teams, and I hope it just keeps going on like this. So I think that's about.
That being said, if you want to top, if you want to top, it's like Mushoku, Slime, and Sunshine, and stats say you're good.
Yeah. Maybe taking 3 rogues decks is a bit of a risk, but there's still room to do that. So. Alright, so I think that's about all we wanted to cover for today. And any finishing words from you, Darcy?
No, thank you guys for making it this far. We enjoy doing this stuff, and we'll have more as the events happen. We've got Chicago and Germany this weekend, so can't wait for the results of that.
Alright, and yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. See ya!